Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, some updates in the Alex Jones judicial saga. For those of you who didn't hear the news of the day yesterday, allegedly The Onion, the satire rag that's no longer funny, has been replaced by the Babylon Bee, put out a publication, news, an article, why they decided to buy InfoWars. The news of the day is that The Onion allegedly had bought the assets of InfoWars out of the bankruptcy in Texas. Financed by the plaintiffs in that lawsuit, who have a $1.5 billion judgment against Alex Jones. We'll get to how this all went down, because it was never logical in the first place. And I said, there's no way the judge is going to ratify this transaction in the bankruptcy. And not only is the judge, Judge Lopez, apparently not going to ratify this, he's going to investigate what the heck went down come next week. But let's just get back to the beginning so you understand the broader context. Alex Jones, public enemy number one, after Trump got elected in 2016, started facing very bizarre lawfare like he had never seen in his life. Some people hypothesized it was the Clinton machine waging war on Alex Jones, because the Clinton machine blamed Alex Jones for being the populist voice that helped get Trump elected in the first place. Sandy Hook. We all know the massacre. We all know the conspiracies behind that, and we all know the reality behind that. Over the years, Alex Jones had said some statements which were, as a matter of fact, wrong, apologized for them, and made other statements over the years, which were compiled into a 15-minute montage. And we now know that intelligence, the FBI, went shopping for plaintiffs in that case, family members of the Sandy Hook victims, to sue Alex Jones. Not all of the Sandy Hook victims' families wanted to have anything to do with this lawsuit, but FBI, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, the Clinton machine, found some willing plaintiffs to go ahead with lawfare against Alex Jones. They sued Alex Jones in Connecticut, and they sued him in Texas. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, and there was some business practice method that they went after Jones in Connecticut, and they got judgment. But they didn't get judgment after a trial. They didn't get judgment from a jury. They defaulted Alex Jones and InfoWars into liability on the basis that Alex Jones didn't comply with discovery obligations. There was never a hearing, a trial, a jury trial on the merits to hear the evidence or lack thereof, because there were legal questions at issue. Whether or not statements made by Alex Jones were made with actual malice, whether or not he qualifies as media, whether or not the claims were prescribed. They never had a hearing on the merits, period. A jury never said, we've heard the evidence and we find Alex Jones liable. The judges defaulted Alex Jones into a liability verdict, so they could then bypass a trial and go only to a hearing on the quantum, which was also equally rigged. So understand that before we get into this. Then they get into the hearing on the quantum. They hand select jury members that are not going to have a problem awarding obscene, ridiculous amounts of money, which is what happened. I think the FBI agent was awarded $100 million for his pain and suffering. He had no family members get murdered that day. He was mocked on the internet before Alex Jones even had a hand in this. Whatever. We don't need to go into the thorough details of this. Defaulted into a liability finding, and then kangaroo show court into a $1.5 billion verdict. And if you have any doubts on the kangaroo show court nature of the trial, there were literally cameras in the courtroom in Texas, and they literally made a documentary with that judge. I forget her name, Bell something. Okay, then as a result of this $1.5 billion judgment, which in the state of Texas is executory notwithstanding appeal, Alex Jones first went into bankruptcy protection, tried to structure a deal to pay off these plaintiffs, not $1.5 billion, but a fair amount, an outrageously high amount, from what I understand, like tens of millions of dollars over the course of years, to pay the family from income generated as he continued to do his work. The truth of the matter is, and everyone watched this knew that this was the case, the lawyers had no interest in getting a settlement, getting payment for their clients. They wanted to shut Alex Jones down and shut Alex Jones up. So there were restructuring discussions going on in bankruptcy, which went nowhere because the lawyers apparently refused a settlement offer, which would have been tens of millions of dollars over years, and instead said, there's going to be no deal, obviously, let's go into liquidation. They're going to liquidate the assets of InfoWars to get cents on the dollar for whatever judgment is still standing after appeals are done and whatever. But they're going to liquidate the assets, and instead of getting the tens of millions of dollars over many years structured in this settlement discussion, they're going to get pennies on the dollar for the plaintiffs. Okay, fine. The goal was to shut them down and not to get any compensation for the victims. I believe the plaintiffs will have ethics complaints against their attorneys for actually breaching their fiduciary obligations to their own clients, acting in a way that will not maximize the value of whatever bogus judgment they got. Set that aside. Liquidation of the assets in bankruptcy. Apparently, there was supposed to be an auction for InfoWars and the assets. The domain, they wanted Alex Jones's personal social media account. The judge said no. They were auctioning off the assets of InfoWars, which consists of a very nice studio. But a $10 million studio is not worth $10 million unless you want to use it and not build one out. If you dismantle it and sell the assets, you're getting pennies on the dollar. But they were liquidating the assets and they were having an auction, what was supposed to be a public auction for the assets of InfoWars. And you had the likes of, from what I understand, Roger Stone and some conservatives were like, we're going to buy it out. We will contract Alex Jones, pay him whatever salary will be below the threshold of the homestead laws in Texas, and let him continue doing what he's doing, speaking to the world. In this alleged, purported public auction, apparently what happens behind closed doors is the trustee converts it into a secret auction and then accepts as the winner not even the highest bid, but the bid from the Onion. It gets even worse. How is the Onion going to pay for the assets? Apparently, from what I understand, the plaintiffs were using their judgment, their $1.5 billion judgment, as something of a bond. Basically, understand this, if you have a judgment, some people will buy a judgment from you and say, look, you don't want to have to worry about executing that judgment. It's $1 million. You're going to go for years trying to collect. We'll buy it off you for, I don't know, $300,000. We'll worry about collecting on the million. You get your $300,000, you go off. You can sell your debts, basically. Apparently, the Onion was financing the acquisition of the InfoWars assets, which wasn't even the highest bid, with the bonding of the judgment that the plaintiffs got, where they were basically saying, our judgment's worth a $1.5 billion, so we'll use that to finance the acquisition of the InfoWars assets. They're using their bogus judgment, obscene judgment, which is still currently under appeal, against InfoWars, to finance the Onion buying the assets of InfoWars in an auction that was supposed to be public, that went private, and that didn't even accept the highest bid, which I presume was not from an ideologically aligned party. This is the insanity. They were in front of Judge Lopez yesterday explaining this, and I hope I've simplified this to make it understandable for everybody out there. Despite my crazy looks, I actually did a lot of bankruptcy law in my practice up in Quebec, Canada, but, it's similar principles. The judge has to ratify this at the end of the day anyhow. But what they did is this, in the dead of night, no longer public, concealed a transaction with interested parties, financing the acquisition, which wasn't the highest bid, with the judgment of the plaintiffs, and then go in and literally shut InfoWars down, which is what we saw yesterday. I don't know how they get in there in the technical stuff of cutting the feeds and whatever, but they basically went in there and said, we own InfoWars now. We have an accepted offer that hasn't even been viewed or ratified by the judge, because I presume bankruptcy law is roughly the same as in Canada, and that if you're going to have a transaction involving the creditors, it's got to be approved by the judge at the end of the day. Anyhow, apparently the judge was none too happy with the non-transparent way that this went down. Wasn't very happy with how this alleged acquisition was being financed, and apparently laid into the trustee and the lawyers that had a hand in this coup. I mean, it's nothing more than theft. It's nothing more than theft cloaked in legalese, but it's theft. And the judge wasn't none too happy, said, no, this transaction is not going through. We're going to investigate this come next week. It's Friday as of the time of shooting this vlog. And no, Onion did not acquire InfoWars and all the assets, despite their idiotic humor piece that they put out, which said, oh, we bought InfoWars because InfoWars has been great at brainwashing people and fear-mongering for decades now. InfoWars, whether you like them or not, has been more accurate than CNN, MSNBC, and all of legacy media combined. What I know that they wanted to do with all of this, Onion wanted to buy InfoWars to destroy its legacy so that in 5 years' time, whenever anyone hears the word InfoWars, they think stupid satire, and that, imposes or transposes onto the history of InfoWars. But the bottom line, the lawfare against Alex Jones has continued. It went from defaulting him into a bogus verdict, liability finding, then kangaroo court into a $1.5 billion outrageous, outlandish ruling, bankrupting him and then stealing his assets in the cloak of darkness in this bankruptcy proceeding. And Judge Lopez looks like he's going to do the right thing and go into an evidentiary hearing next week as to how this happened. Because in theory, the Roger Stones of the world should be able to buy the assets of InfoWars if they're offering more than the Onion being financed with the under appeal judgment from the plaintiffs in this case. That's where it's at right now. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Make sure that you have liked, shared, subscribed, turned on notifications. If you want to get merch, you can go to Viva Frei. Want to follow me, you go to Viva Frei on Rumble or the Viva Frei on Twitter. And fair warning, I swear on Twitter. Or you can go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. But most importantly, exercise, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, get sunshine, sunlight, vitamin D, invaluable, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:50 right now. I'm about to upload this to X. I just got word 15 minutes ago that my lawyers and folks met with the U.S. trustee over our bankruptcy this morning, and they said they're shutting us down even without a court order. This morning, the Connecticut Democrats with the Onion newspaper bought us. They asked, did they outbid? They said, well, it was competitive. So they changed all the bidding rules, made it secret 2 days ago. I had a bad feeling. I told you that. And just like they tried to shut us down back in late May without a court order, they're supposed to have a court order. There's going to be injunctions filed. I'm about to go live out of Harrison's American Journal studio. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be here until they come in here and turn the lights off. I'm going to say, where's your court order? So this is all going down right now. They want to silence the American people, but we're not going to be silenced. Be sure and follow me at the Alex Jones Network at AJN Live on X right now. They're filed in court to take real Alex Jones away. That's totally unconstitutional. The judge already said no, so they filed in other courts. So the live feed going up by the time you see this at AJN Live and at Real Alex Jones right now. Share this everywhere. This is a total attack on free speech. The deep state is completely out of control. The private security hasn't even been told all this yet. They tried to tell them last time, the other U.S. trustee, to shut us down with a court order. These folks said no. So this is all happening right now. This is the tyranny of the New World Order, desperate to silence the American people. The mandate of Trump against all the lawfare, they don't care. So the system still thinks it's in charge. I'm going live right now from what probably will be the last transmission from this building. God bless you all for your support. Please support our sponsors so we get funds to stay on the air at the Alex Jones Network, thealexjonestore.com. Take action. I need your support. InfoWars is really the detonator for this whole global movement that's happening. Your support did that. You're the reason it's happening. You are the resistance. God bless and good luck.